let's talk about world building. Alright, who wants to talk about world building? I know I do. It's always fun. Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rachel. I am the Writer on Wheels, and I post writing-related videos every Friday at noon Eastern. Let's get into it today. So, we just finished our second week of Preptober, and a lot of us already have our basic idea for our story. Some of us might have more, some of us might have less, but let's just go and say that we have our idea for our story, and we're wanting to flesh out the world around our story, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Specifically, disability in world building, which I have not seen a ton of videos or blog posts about, so I want to talk about it, because if you can tell, don't mind my pajama pants, it is pretty pertinent to me. A lot of this is going to be world building for a fantasy world, mostly because if your book is set in our world, like the real world, a lot of that's already built in. Not to the extent that it should be, obviously, but that's a whole other topic. But it's something fun to think about and important to think about for your fantasy world, and it can actually make your world feel deeper. Okay, so why is including disability important in world building? Honestly, this is a hard question because it is multi-layered, and there are a bunch of different perspectives, but for me, I like to include it because disability is just another layer of culture that we can add to our worlds. And what do I mean by culture? I mean another dimension to just a way of life and how people interact with each other. How the world is built, how the cities are structured, how the towns, how houses are built and made, how the elderly are treated, how the sick are treated, all that sort of comes together. This is going to be a rambly video because it is sort of so open-ended that there's a lot of different ways and perspectives to do this, because there are a lot of different disabilities and different kinds of disabilities, and I can only talk from my limited experience as a physically disabled person. So I'm just going to say up front, do research on different disabilities. Go further than the Wikipedia page, because that only gets you so far. Look at blogs and YouTube channels even from people with different disabilities. That way you get like a first-hand account. It doesn't all have to be that labor-intensive. Okay, in my world of Killian, one thing is stairs are not necessarily that common, stairs and steps. It's much more of a ramp, or like a spiral ramp for up floors, because there are a bunch of different races that have different heights. And so in real life, there is a regulation height and depth of a step for like a staircase, right? And that's based on the average height of a human or something. I'm not entirely sure how they got that number, but it's based on a human. Now, if you take that and you add different heights of people who are much, much smaller or much, much bigger, you're going to have different size steps that are necessary. So to eliminate the need for multiple staircases, my world has just done ramps, which is bonus for wheelchair users or cane users, or people who use walkers. It makes the world just more accessible by that. One thing I see a lot when people talk about disability, especially in like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, because why wouldn't I be talking about Dungeons and Dragons on this channel, is the thought of, well, magic exists, so you can just magically heal all the disabled people and get rid of disability. And in theory, you could. But if magic could fix everything, A, you wouldn't have a story, and B, that kind of magic, at least in D&D, is super expensive, and the common folk usually cannot afford it. So it's rare, it's expensive, and, you know, the average person might not be able to get it. There's also just a whole, like, culture that surrounds disability in the real world. Just, like, how, you know, disabled people are seen by able-bodied people. So, like, in my world, again, of Kellyan, people who are amputees or wheelchair users are seen to have been great warriors in past lives, and that is the god Tyron letting them have a life of rest and not needing to go into battle for this lifetime. It's also important to remember that every disabled person has a different relationship with their disability, and so you might want to look at multiple sources when doing your research. And yes, I'm saying do your research because that's very important. You don't want to fall into some bad tropes or some ableistic ideas. Also, get sensitivity readers. Alright, I think that is going to do it for me today. This is a bit of a different topic, a bit of a more serious topic, very personal to me. I had a lot of thoughts going into this. We'll see if when I edit, if they translate. Hopefully they do, because I don't have time to refilm this. Yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and let me know down in the comments, have you added disability into your world building at all? And, what was it? And I would love to hear from you. Did I say subscribe? Subscribe if you haven't.